that you can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song.
Welcome to Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged with your host, Brain Fitzpatrick. Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged is a snapshot of the day-to-day experiences of disabled individuals as they navigate the world around us. We wish to shed light and open your eyes on a new perspective of people with disabilities. And by going unplugged, we can discuss viewpoints we hope will challenge our viewers' points of view. Most of us have disabilities we must live with, but what defines us is the way we deal with them. And now, here's your host, Brain Fitzpatrick.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Brain Fitzpatrick, bringing you another episode of Wheeling the Pathways of Life. Today, I'm just going to continue the conversation that we were having last week about having in the disabled community, one of the things that's missing is allowing people to have choices, the disabled people to have choices for what they want to do, whether it be what clothes they want to wear or whatever. And I want to get into a little bit about that, and then I want to explain more about that so you understand what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is people who take care of people with disabilities have to realize what they would do in their own house isn't necessarily what I would do in mine. And whether or not I do things a certain way is my choice. Whether or not they do a certain things their way is their choice. And a lot of times the choices kind of become intertwined too closely. All right. For example, if a PCA comes in, and I always use this, but you don't just walk into somebody's bedroom without asking if it's okay. Or taking something out of the refrigerator without asking if it's okay before you take it. Because I think, and again, this is only my personal opinion, but I think what happens a lot of times is people say, well, in my case, he can't do this, so he won't care if I do it. He would be doing this if he could. Well, you gotta realize you don't know that unless you communicate with me to find out if I would do that. Now, this is a crazy thing, but I've had people open the windows with the heat on. If anybody knows, everybody should know anyway, when you open the windows and the heat's running, where does the heat go? Out the window. It doesn't stay in the house. I have a specific room that I allow the PCAs to use, and they have a heater in there. They have windows and stuff like that. If they want to open their window, that's fine. If they want to watch TV, they've got a TV in there. If they want to use a microwave to heat up food, that's fine. But don't come in my space and touch my stuff without asking, or touch my stuff when I don't know what you're doing. Now, one of the things I am going through right now is when you accidentally break something or you accidentally misplace something, tell me and I'll replace it. Tell me and I'll fix it. But if you don't tell me, I don't know, what's going on. Things like a razor and stuff, if stuff gets broken like that, I need to know so I can get another one. I don't need to find out 5 minutes before I go to use one. I use what I need to use and it's busted or not available. So, I mean, and this goes along with what I was talking about last week. The opinions of other people when I'm trying to do things, especially those people that take care of me physically, but don't have much of a interest in what I do on a day-to-day basis, should have very minimal opinion over what I do. Now, there's some people that I will share things with, and some people that I won't share things with. Even though I'm a social butterfly, as you can tell, but I do have things that I value people's opinions, and that I do let people in on that are their opinions are very valuable to me, but at the same time, their opinions matter, but everybody's opinion matters and everybody has one, but in some cases, the opinions are not what I desire or that God desires for me. So I have to make a decision on my own. Even if it's a mistake, even if it's something that the PCA or whoever I'm talking to wouldn't do it. But when you're an employee, there's only so much you can do. The advice from an employee should not be, when you're giving advice to an employer, it should be solicited. It shouldn't be given without solicitation. Unless that employer is doing something that's illegal. And then you do have rights to give your opinion or something. But some people say opinions are a dime a dozen. Everybody has one, but some people will listen to your opinion, some people won't. So people need to be aware that even when somebody has a disability, because I'm working with so many other people, I hear opinions all the time. And I hear different opinions. And sometimes, because they're around me all the time, they think, one, that I really want their opinion, or I care about what they think. Well, most things I do care, but some things, you know, if you ever heard of the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's the same way with me. You can tell me your opinion and state it, but only state it so many times. Only state it once or twice. Don't keep stating it, because, in my opinion, that borderlands on manipulation and trying to control what the opinions of the caregivers, the choices of the caregivers should be for the client. It's not your life. It's mine. And I'll give you more examples when I come back in just a moment. We will be right back, folks. Thank you.
Letter said that you were leaving, but you did not know how long. I will never stop believing that one day you will return. Though the waiting is the hardest part of everything I do, I do confess it's getting better, knowing I will be with you. It's all right. It's okay. I won't worry about tomorrow, for it brings me one more day closer than I was to you, closer than I was to you. Yeah. isn't with you. But what I want to know is when. But if it's one day or a million, I will wait for you till then. And so I'm holding on to your word and the promises you made. So there is not one you have broken. There's not one I didn't say. It's all right. It's okay. I won't worry about tomorrow, for it brings me one more day closer than I was. It's all right. It's okay. I won't worry about tomorrow, for it brings me one more day closer than I was to you, closer than I was to you, closer than I was to you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's okay, just one more day.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Brain Fitzpatrick bringing you another episode of Wheeling the Pathway to Life. Thank you, Nick, for that wonderful song. And that brings me into one of the areas that I want to talk about, continuing on what I was saying before. It's okay for human beings to give other human beings their opinions. But in my life, okay, opinions matter because of logistics, how we're gonna do things, what we're gonna do, how we're gonna achieve things. But you know what? The opinion that really matters is Jesus Christ. The opinion that really matters to me is what Jesus is telling me to do. And whether or not an agency agrees with what I'm going to do, if anybody tells me there's a difference, let me phrase this in a way that doesn't sound like there's a difference between, I don't think it's physically safe for you to do this. I don't think, but if I can check off all the boxes and say that I've checked in everything, done everything they asked me to do. Why not let me do it? Right. Like for an example, I had mentioned to one of my workers that my pastor, Jeff, is leaving from New Life. And they said, you don't want to move down there. You don't want to go to South Carolina. And what I say to that is, why not if I can check off all the boxes? It may not be something you want me to do. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do this, but that's a decision that I need to make. And whether or not I'll miss family and I'll have to do some family stuff and decide for myself whether I'm going. But the point is, no one else can make the decision for me. Right? I have to go through it to make a decision for myself. Give me the opportunity, give anybody the opportunity to make their own decisions, whether they're disabled or not. Because believe it or not, when people do things like that, they may not realize it. And if I can go wide, I'll explain what I'm doing in a minute. Go wide on my shop, please. I may be in a wheelchair, but I may be in a wheelchair physically, but there's nothing wrong with me mentally to make a decision about what I want to do. Okay, it may not be a decision that's very smart or very thought out, but it's a decision that I need to make for me. And the more you get to know me, the more you realize, thank you guys, thank you, Kelsey. You can go back in on me if you want. My decisions are my decisions, and if they're mistakes, then I'll learn from them. Okay? I know people have different things to worry about as far as agencies and stuff go, but let me tell you something. The only agency that I really have to adhere to, okay, and I'm going to state this on the show, and some agencies may not like this, but I'll explain what I mean in a minute. The only person that I have to answer to, besides my earthly parents, and respect them, but the only person that I have to answer to is Jesus Christ. And if he opens his door to let me do something, there should be nothing, there will be nothing that anybody can do. Now, unless there's a physical harm that is being done, or that I'm obviously being taken advantage of, then you guys can step in. But otherwise, I don't have the answer to you. I don't have to justify everything I'm doing. Okay? But people would say, yeah, you have to justify for the money. There's other ways, and there's other areas that I can get money from. Okay? I can do what I'm doing now and make a career out of it if I wanted to. Right now I want to do it voluntarily, but if I needed to, I could do it for money. But I mean, I'm not saying I would, but I'm just using that as an example. That, you know, there are areas in life that people can, you know, make decisions and do things they want to do. And if they're a mistake, they'll learn from them. Or they'll learn ways to get out of the mistake without, you know, learn from it and make a decision. And unless it's a safety issue or unless it's unless it's harmful to my health or something like that, or physically being mentally abused by someone else, or my care will be less than what I can handle. That will not be a situation. That situation doesn't need to happen as far as I'm concerned. If you got an opinion and I disagree with you, then so be it. As long as it's not safety related or physically harming me, there are avenues you can take, but you need to be justified to take them. And you can't just decide to do that in life if you feel like it. So I'm just saying to you folks that you gotta let people make their own decisions. You gotta let people be their own. Yes, you're there to take care of them. You're there to make sure they're safe. But if they check up all the boxes, you have no choice but to let them do it. Or you have a choice, but you can leave the position if you don't feel comfortable with it. But if there's not a safety issue or something, there's nothing you can do for them. So, not saying that I'm gonna leave or something like that, but I'm just saying it's not an issue that that's just the decision. Those are not factors that I'm thinking about. It's other people's opinions about what happens, unless it's got something to do with my safety or something like that. Okay, there's nothing that I'm doing that is I'm not incapable of making a decision is what I'm trying to say. So, at any rate, with that book, we will be right back. And then I will wrap up the show for another week. I'll be right back after this quick PSA break.
You're the God of this city. You're the King of these people. You're the Lord of this nation. You are. You're the light in the darkness. You're the hope to the hopeless. You're the peace to the restless. You are. There is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things still to be done here. You're the Lord of creation, the creator of all things. You're the King above all kings. You are. You're the strength in our weakness. You're the love to the broken. You're the joy in the sadness. You are. 'Cause there is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. Greater things yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. As glory shines from hearts alive with praise to you and love for you in this city. Greater things are yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Greater things are yet to come, greater things are still to be done here. Thank you, God, you are not done here, Lord. Greater things in this city. Oh, Lord. Thank you, God.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Brian Fitzpatrick again, and thank you, Nick, for that wonderful rendition of that song. As as I was saying, and I am aware of the time I got, I can always stretch conversation out, no big deal. But, you know, that's the biggest thing that I have a problem with, is other people telling me and telling other people they can make decisions for themselves, but then they make decisions for the person, and that is not beneficial for either the client or the staff, because I know what the staff's trying to do, but at the same time, to the client, it looks like you're trying to take away the independence of that client. And it is your job to make them as independent as they can, especially when they live in their own house. Now, when you come in and you put in your 2 cents and you decide this shouldn't be here, this should be there, or whatever, whose house is it now? It's becoming whoever in the house at the time for staff to make their own decisions on their own, you know, and it's confusing not only for the client, but it's confusing for the staff as well, because they don't know where you put things, or they don't know what you're doing, or when the client gets upset and then you leave, inevitably in my case, I'm thinking about it when I'm alone, and I'm thinking about different ways to address it. But the frustration and the anger is still there, that somebody would be so bolden to do some of the things they do, then it inevitably comes out on somebody else, and then it starts a whole nother can of worms for the other person. That's not fair, but I mean, yes, we are all responsible for our own choices and our own decisions, but and our own reactions. But when you're around people as much as I am, you really gotta judge what you're saying to me before you say it, because you can't assume what I'm thinking unless you do this. And this is a dialectical behavioral therapy situation. I'm not a therapist, but I learned it when I took DBT. And that is a mirror. That's what they call a mirroring technique, is repeating what the other person is saying. So, for example, you don't like it when I do X, Y, and Z. You don't. So what you're telling me is you don't like it when I put your razor where you can't find it, or you don't like where I put the razor where would you like the razor to be in the future? So what I'm saying is, if you say, I want to move the razor, and I move it, you should be saying, I don't really like the position of the razor, but do you mind if I show you where I'm thinking about putting it and then put it there? It gives me an opportunity to say yes or no. Give me an opportunity to say, too bad, it's staying where it is. I put it there for a reason, leave it there. You have a right to your opinion, but I also have a right to get my house the way I want my house to be. Okay? And I understand human rights, and I understand employee rights, but at the end of the day, if the employee rights, if the employee is antagonizing and causing me to get upset and repeated situations are coming up, that is, we are responsible for our own choices and our own decisions about how we react. But when it comes to repeated situations from an individual with the same individual, if it's just one individual, there's a problem with the interaction, not with the client. Now, the client could be misunderstanding what you're saying, but that could also be the way you're presenting it to the client. All right? Don't blame it on just the client, and vice versa, where the client can't only accept their opinions and that's it. You gotta be able to listen to what other people are saying. Yes, it's your house, but at the end of the day, they're the ones doing the physical work. So therefore, they might have an idea that is more beneficial to them when they're working for you. If it's a case of you're both getting what you want, but there are ways better for them, let them do it. But what I'm saying is when it gets into rights and the ability to make decisions for themselves, then that's where it becomes a problem. And that's that's what I want people to understand. It's not what you say, it's how you say it and how you both interact. Now, one of the ways that I think works, and I'm going to start doing it with my own staff pretty soon, and one of the ways that I think really works is rather than do an individual meeting, take 15 minutes once a week, or maybe an hour, maybe a half hour, a certain amount of time and just go over the week and say anything you want to talk about during the week, any of the issues that came up during the week that you didn't like or you couldn't say at the moment because you were upset about it. You both have time to think about it. You both have time to think about it. You both have time to cool down. So maybe that would be a good situation to sit down with them and say, you know, I didn't like the way you did this. I prefer you to do it this way. It's not putting somebody on the spot that you have to talk to them right then and there, but it gives them time to actually, and the quiet time to process. Did I, was that what I think it was, or was that just me going off? That was just me making a fool out of myself and misunderstanding what the situation is before you can approach it. And at the same time, on my part, gives me time to consult with the agencies to figure out what to do legally so I don't get in trouble with them legally. But like I said, at the end of the day, legal stuff, I mean, I won't do something illegal to get myself in jail, but as far as the end of the day, the only person I have to answer to is the Lord. And whether he tells me to go for it or not is the one I'm going to listen to as far as correcting it. If the Lord is saying, if the law is clearly broken and it's going to make me worse off than I already am in the long run, then I may not do it. But if it's going to be a benefit to me and it's going to help other people, then I'll expose it. But if it's just a case of somebody put a fork in the wrong area and got frustrated about it, there's no reason to make it a federal case. There's a time and a place to do things that will benefit other people. And there's a time and a place to just let things go. If somebody puts a plate in the wrong area, don't get mad at them, just don't move the plate. But if they're doing something physically that could hurt you, then do something about it. But other than that, a lot of people that I'm talking to right now may not know the Lord, but if you do, the only person you need to answer to is the Lord. As far as the ultimate decisions on what you do, the world may think they know what's best for you. But He does. The Lord knows. And the Lord will put people in your life that He trusts to help you make decisions. And I would hope that people understand that my physical disability has nothing to do with my mental disability. Physical disability does not have anything to do with my mental capacity to do things. Now, as many of you know, and many of you probably don't know, I'm just like everybody else. I am on medication for depression and anger and stuff like that, but just about everybody on this earth has practically been depressed or upset at some point in their life. So what I'm saying is, just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean I'm not normal as far as going through so many emotions and stuff that other people go through. And choosing to make a decision to do something that I want to do, if it's a mistake, then I move on from it. But sometimes, like I said, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And sometimes it's easier to let them go through something than to try and stop them from going through it. Because people are educated to the point where the better education is going through something sometimes, then you don't learn very much if you stop from going through it. You learn more by going through something sometimes than you do if you don't go through it at all. So, the average position is just the issue of protecting. And I want the staff to realize, and the people that I'm talking to, you gotta make a decision yourself. Are you helping? Are you making things worse? When you think you're helping, you may not be. If your job is only physical and you have an opinion over something and the person doesn't agree with you, then sometimes it's better just to physically do the job and call it a day. But there's some people that value opinions and take your advice and make better choices out of it, but don't force them to make choices for themselves that they're not ready to make. And I think that's what people do a lot of times with disability because they're disabled. And people say this to me all the time. And I realize I gotta wrap up in a minute, but people say this to me all the time. You're physically disabled, so we're just trying to protect you from making wrong decisions. Sometimes the protection is more harmful than the going through the situation. There's so many things that I still have trouble with because people have tried to protect me from situations that I don't know how to go through because people have shielded me from either emotions or disability to make decisions. So I would say, I'm not saying it's all, I'm not saying the decisions that you're trying to give them advice for are not good. It's not good advice, but just be careful. Give them the ability to feel like they are participating. Don't let them feel like they're not able to make the decision they want to make. Let them feel like they're participating and making decisions for themselves. Even though you know you gotta be there to pick the mess up, sometimes the only way to teach them is to let them go through it, but be there to pick up the mess afterwards. With that, folks, I'm going to say something that I will have more on in the next couple weeks, but New Life Community Fellowship is going to, we are going to continue to have that service on, but that will not be with the same pastor in a couple weeks. But I will continue to have that on, and we will continue to air that. But I want you to know that we are, and we will always be eternally grateful to Jeff Black for doing everything he did for the past 28 years for running New Life as the senior pastor, and we appreciate it. We will take it from here. Thank you, Jeff. And I will be down to see you at some point in Simpsonville. And we will go from there. With that, folks, have a good afternoon. You can get a hold of me at Wheeling the Pathway of the Life. Good at gmail.com. Have a good afternoon, folks. If you have any questions, email me and let me know, and I will bring the subjects up on the show. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
You can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song. 'Cause when the work will go on.